أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي ليس لأوليته ابتداء ولا لأزليته انقضاء وانحصرت الأوصاف عن كنه معرفته ورضعت عظمته العقول والذي لا تواري عنه سماء ولا أرض أرضاه ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على سيد البطحاء سيد المرسلين والأنبياء أبي القاسم محمد المصطفى
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى الجوهرة القدسية البتول العذراء سيدة النساء فاطمة الزهراء وعلى بعلها أمير المؤمنين وبنيها الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
لا سيما على بقية الله وحجته الكبرى الذي بيمنه رزق الورى وبوجوده ثبتت الأرض والسماء ولولاه لصاخت الأرض بأهلها واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من حين عداوتهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الإمام الرضا عليه الصلاة والسلام: حول ابنه الإمام التقي الجواد عليه الصلاة والسلام: هذا المولود الذي لم يولد مولود أعظم بركة منه. وقال الإمام محمد ابن علي التقي الجواد عليهما الصلاة والسلام: الثقة بالله ثمن لكل غال وسلم لكل عال. صلوات. Tonight we are commemorating the Milad of Imam Muhammad At-Taqi Al-Jawad alayhi salatu wassalam. And although some of the riwayat, we have aqwal among the fuqaha about his day of birth. Some have said it is on the 19th of Ramadan, month of Ramadan, and some said it is in the middle of the month of Ramadan as well. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this milad mubarak to all of you and all the mu'mineen and mu'minat. The kunyat of our Imam is Abu Ja'far al-Thani, as he is commonly known, and also Ibn Rida. These are the two kunyat of our ninth Imam. And his titles, Al-Qab, are several, including Al-Jawad, the generous, At-Taqi means the God-fearing, and Al-Murtada, and also Al-Muntajab, and there are several other which are narrated in the history. So his total age is 25 years. So he became shaheed. He was killed by the poison of his wife al-Fadl la'natullah alayha, who is the daughter of Mamun al-Rashid. So she poisoned the Imam, the wife poisoned the Imam upon the hukum of her uncle Mu'tasim Billah la'natullah alayh. So his age at the time of Shahadat was 25 years. And this Imam of ours is the youngest of all the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam at the time of his Shahadat, after Hazrat Zahra salamullahi alayha, who was killed at the age of 18. So he's the second youngest member of Ahlul Bayt who passed away. And at the time of his entire duration of Imamat is 17 years, muddat of Imamat, 17 years. When Imam Rida alayhi salatu wasalam became Shaheed, his age was, according to Shaykh al-Mufid rahmatullah alayhi, 7 years and few months, approximately 8 years. And some of the Mu'arrikhin has mentioned 9 years. So there's a little bit controversy on that. So 8 years or 9 years approximately. And so at that age he basically reached the mansab and position of walayat and imamat on behalf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the commander-in-chief of the universe. So Mamun al-Rashid la'natullah alayhi, after he killed Imam Rida alayhi salam, he migrated to Baghdad from Khorasan, and his capital of the government was the city of Marv, which is located right now in Turkmenistan. Little city Marv, M-A-R-V. In Arabic we say Mim and Ra and Waw, Marv. And he migrated from the city of Marv to Baghdad after killing the Imam Rida alayhi salam. So obviously when he did that, so he forced, after when he came to Baghdad, that's where he forced and invited and forced Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam to come from Medina to Baghdad. So Imam alayhi salam had to stay in Baghdad for that while until Mamun Rashid passed away. Until then he basically came to Makkah, and Mamun Rashid passed away, and then later on he stayed in Medina. So this is the duration of the hijrat of the Imam. Excuse me. Every aspect of his life is full of barakat, but specifically also we find that the duration that he spent in the in this hijrat when he was staying in Baghdad was full of barakat. First of all, we find that when Imam Rida alayhi salam passed away, there were some ashraf and big personalities of the Shia, mashayikh and ashraf and well-known personalities of the Shia community, and who were, after doing the Hajj in Makkah, they visited the city of Medina before Imam was forced to migrate to Baghdad. These known big personalities and well-known personalities of the Shia community visited Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam in his hometown of Medina. There were some people in the Shia community in those days who were in doubt about the imamat of Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, because he was a 7.5-year-old approximately, or 8-year-old boy, whereas we all know that there is no difference between young and small among Ahlul Bayt, because they are born with the entire knowledge. Isn't it right? Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, Jesus, when he talks, Quran narrates Jesus, when children of Israel, Quran talks about the story when children of Israel came and they were slandering Virgin Mary about from where did she bring this child. Isn't it right? Ma kana abuki imra'a sawin wa ma kanat ummuki baghiya fa asharat ilayhi. Isn't it right? She indicated, she was fasting. She could not speak because she was fasting, the fasting of silence. In the Sharia of the Holy Prophet, fasting of silence is haram. We don't do that. But in that Sharia, it was permissible. She was fasting the fasting of silence, so she could not speak. فَأَشَارَتْ إِلَيْهِ, Quran says. She indicated, she pointed towards the baby. So قال آتاني الكتاب وجعلني نبيا. Hazrat Musa, who is the baby lying in the cradle, he started to speak up and say that آتاني الكتاب, Allah gave me the book, وجعلني نبيا, and he made me a prophet. وأوصاني بالصلاة والزكاة ما دمت حيا. So Allah advised me, did wasiyat and advised me about salat and zakat as long as I'm alive, barram bi walidati, and so on and so forth. So basically we learn from the light of the verse of the Holy Quran that Prophet Isa was speaking in the cradle, and we learn in the light of the verse that a prophet is born with the knowledge. So that's nothing outrageous that we believe. Our Prophet and our Imams are also born with the entire knowledge from day one of their birth. So our Prophet has been given the biggest and the best and the most superior books. So every Prophet is the madhar and reflection of the nur of the practice of all the contents of the book that is given to him. So our Prophet reflects the Quran. Prophet Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, he reflects, he's the reflection and madhar of Injil, isn't it right? So Hazrat Musa alayhi salam is the madhar and reflection of Tawrat. So every prophet reflects the book, every messenger reflects the book that has been given to that messenger. So since our Quran is the most superior, and our prophet has to be the most superior because he reflects the most superior book, because he practices the book in its totality. So it makes perfect sense. And the Imams who are sitting on the chair, on the mansab, in the position of the Prophet after the Prophet, they all reflect the Holy Quran in its totality. So we find that Imam Al-Jawad alayhi salam, there is no difference between young and old. These Shia personalities, they came, all of them, the narration says they came to visit the Imam alayhi salam. Imam Rida became shaheed, he's martyred, he's killed. So they came to Medina to find out about Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, and he's just like a 7 years and few months, approximately 8-year-old boy. And the history says that in the matter of few days, just few days, in the matter of few days, 30,000 issues were asked, masail were asked from Imam Taqi al-Jawad alayhi salam, and he answered all of them. So look at that in just few days this young boy is answering 30,000 masail of the people. So, and obviously he was forced. Remember the hadith which I recited in the beginning from Imam Rida alayhi salam, where he had said, هذا المولود الذي لم يولد مولود أعظم بركة منه. This is the child where there is no child born which is having more barakat than him, greater in barakat than him. So Imam al-Jawad, Imam al-Taqi al-Jawad alayhi salam is the child having the highest and greatest barakat. So we find now Mamun al-Rashid la'natullah alayhi, he migrates from Marv to Baghdad, and he forces Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam to be brought to Baghdad. Now before Imam alayhi salam happened when he reaches Baghdad, before he meets Mamun al-Rashid, the history says before the meeting takes place, Imam alayhi salam was standing on a street with some of the children were also there, and Mamun al-Rashid is traveling, going for hunting. And during this travel, what happens is that when he's passing by, obviously, when the king comes with all his entourage, people with him, lots of people who are the Hawariyin, isn't it right? His companions and people with him. So they are all escorting him. So when the king is coming, the kids ran away. All the rest of the kids, they ran away when they saw the king coming with his people, except Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, who was standing there with viqar and matanat and dignity, and didn't run away, didn't go anywhere. So king came forward, Mamun Rashid, and he asked why didn't you, he didn't recognize that this is Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam. And he asked him that why didn't you get away just like the rest of the kids went away? So well, Imam alayhi salam said that the path, the road, in other words, that's wide enough for you to walk. That means, in other words, I'm not blocking your way, isn't it right? The road is wide enough for you to go, and I did not commit any mistake. And I don't think you're going to hold a person accountable without a crime. When he heard that kind of statement, he was shocked to hear that statement, and then he asked this child, who are you? And he said, my name is Muhammad, the son of Ali ibn Musa al-Rida alayhi salatu wasalam. And we find when he returns back from the same trip, that the narration says that when he meets with the Imam, and he had a fish, he had some, those hunting birds, and he had a fish that the bird has hunted for him, and he grabbed the fish in his hand, hid it from the Imam, and he asked to tell what is there in his hand. And Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam said in his own way, that in other words, that the kings go for the hunting, and they bring the fish in their hand. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the oceans, the water, and the fish come, small fishes, they come up and they hunt these fishes, and they hide it from the Imam, who is from the Sulalatun Nubuwa, from the lineage of prophethood, to test him. So when this kind of response was heard by Mamun, he was very much surprised, and he understood about the azamat and the greatness of the Imam. So narration says that after that incident, he made up his mind to marry his daughter al-Fadl with Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, who was just a young child. Now Banu Abbas, the people from the Umayyad dynasty, Abbasid dynasty, was his supporters. Those were the people who were his supporters, Abbasiyin. So they started to object on him that, well, we have adawat and enmity towards Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, and this is a long-standing enmity we have with him, and we took the government from him, and now you are handing over government to a child who belongs to the lineage of Ali, and we have been having enmity since long with him. So Mamun Rashid replied back, well, the reason for your enmity is because your elders took the Khilafat from Ali ibn Abi Talib, and he deserved to get the Khilafat. Remember what Imam Baqir al-Sadr rahmatullah alayhi said, that every Shia must put himself in the place of Mamun Rashid. Every Shia must put himself in the place of Mamun Rashid, because Mamun Rashid was the Khalifa who used to claim openly that I am he used to bring the ulama and mashayikh of various sects of Islam in his darbar, and he used to prove that those who usurped the Khilafat from Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam were wrong, and Imam Ali alayhi salam was right. It was his right to be the Khalifa of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. But when it comes to handing over the power, the authority, the walayat to the Imam of his time, he's doing the same behavior of ghasb al-Khilafah, isn't it right? Usurping the Khilafat the way those people did. So despite the fact he zahiran, for deceiving the masses, he claims to be a follower of Ahlul Bayt. Apparently he claimed like this. but he himself is doing the same behavior. So now, well, they said, well, he's just a young boy. Let him at least learn the knowledge and reach the kamal and of ilm, and then you can later on plan to marry your daughter with him. He said, you don't know. There is no, in other words, there is no difference between young and small of Ahlul Bayt. Now he holds the gathering and brings his Qadi, his Chief Justice, Yahya ibn Aksam, Mullah Darbari Mullahs were abundant in all that these times of Yazid and Muawiyah and all those Mala'in. So Yahya ibn Aksam is one of those, Mullahs of Darbar. So in Shia religion we don't have the Mullahs of Darbar. If you find an alim supporting the Taghut, he is not an alim, he is a deceiver. He is deceiving the masses in the name of Islam. Our Shia religion, Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam never did the bay'at of Banu Umayyah. Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam never did the bay'at of Banu Abbas, la'natullah alayhim. Isn't it right? A very, very wadih and clear policy of Ahlul Bayt, zero support towards zulm. We never support the zulm. So we find that Ayatullah al-Makhuli rahmatullahi alayh, please read a salawat for him. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So he was, you can see how he was tortured by Saddam in his final days, and Saddam was seeking his support towards the zalim, and we find that he never said a single word in the favor of Saddam. So this is how our Maraji, hafadhahumullah, have been setting the great examples on the path of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam for us. So we find that Yahya ibn Aksam was there, and very big scholar, considered to be very big scholar. And in those days, obviously, that's why he was the Qadi and supreme judge. So he was brought in that gathering, and these people used to think that Ahlul Bayt, na'udhu billah, are we can insult them and we can humiliate them in front of the crowd, and we can make ourselves show and pretend ourselves to be big in front of Ahlul Bayt, because of the adawat and animosity that they had towards Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. So we find that huge gathering was arranged with Sha'an and Shaukat and huge arrangements by Mamun Rashid. Obviously the marriage of his daughter is going to take place, and in the Sadrul Majlis, in the main spot of the gathering, that's where Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, when he arrives, he was asked to sit in the main spot of the gathering. And Yahya ibn Aksam came and he sat in front of the Imam, right facing him. And then he asked Mamun Rashid, shall I start my question? And Mamun Rashid said, why don't you ask himself? And Mamun Rashid and Yahya ibn Aksam asked the Imam himself. And Imam said, you are ma'zoom, you have the permission. So he asked the question from the Imam that if a muhrim person who has ihram, somebody who has the niyat of ihram, if a muhrim person performs hunting, what is the hukum about that? Well, he thought he's a very big scholar, and the way he put the question was like a jahil, an ignorant person. He doesn't know how to put the question. Isn't it right? Husn su'al nisful ilm. Putting the question properly is half the knowledge. Now Imam alayhi salam said to him, which I am paraphrasing all these narrations in my words, he said, whether is the hunting taking place inside the haram, limits of the haram, or outside the limits of the haram? whether the person who did the hunting, whether he was a knowledgeable person, alim bil hukum, he knew the ruling, or he was ignorant about the ruling, jahil bil hukum, in other words. And was the person hunting, was he a slave or a free person? And Imam alayhi salam said that was the person hunting was baligh, Islamically mature, or non-baligh? Is it the first time he hunted, or he hunted earlier as well? Is the hunted animal among the birds or not among the birds? Or is the hunted animal a big one or a small one? Is the person repenting after hunting, nadim, pashiman after the hunting, or he is not nadim over the hunting? Look at the furu and tafri'at and the branching of the hukum that Imam alayhi salam is doing. Then he said, is the hunting took place in the night or was it in the daytime? And then Imam alayhi salam said to him, was the muhrim person who was in the niyat of ihram, was he muhrim with the niyat of umrah or was muhrim with the niyat of hajj? When all these furu and branches of one question were mentioned by the Imam, the face expression of Yahya ibn Aqsam, this stupid qadi, was changed, and he was big time insulted in front of the crowd just because of putting the question in a silly way. He doesn't even know how to put the question. So when you are putting question in front of somebody and he brings out so many branches of that issue, then obviously the hukum and ruling of all these branches is different in Islam. And Mamun Rashid said at that occasion that I start the aqd, it means start reading the aqd with my daughter. And there were people, Mamun said in the history, there were people who were opposing me to marry my daughter with you, but we want to rub their nose. Look at what he says. Remember what Imam Bakr Sadr Rahmatullah Alayhi had said. He says, we want to rub their nose, so that basically they realize about your greatness, in other words, which I am paraphrasing in my words. But the same person who is saying this kind of remark is the one who has already killed Imam Rida alayhi salam. Isn't it right? So al-mulku aqim. The government it doesn't recognize no children. The king can even kill his own children for the sake of power. So that's where Imam alayhi salam, this is the time where we find in the history that Imam alayhi salam started to read the aqd, and the aqd which he recited is also the khutbah of the aqd is mentioned in our books. And Imam alayhi salam recited that khutbah, which is a very short but very beautiful khutbah. So where he says that Alhamdulillah iqraran bi ni'matihi wa la ilaha illallah ikhlasan li wahdaniyatihi wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad Sayyid bariyatihi والأصفياء من عترته. أما بعد فقد كان من فضل الله تعالى فضل الله على الأنام أن أغناهم بالحلال عن الحرام. فقال سبحانه وأنكحوا الأيام منكم. This is usually recited, one of the khutbahs which are very commonly recited at the time of Aqd al-Nikah is this khutbah, which is narrated in the mu'tabar and authentic reliable narration from about Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam. This is what he recited for his own aqd. So we find that Mamun end up saying that the Ahlul Bayt have no difference between young and small. Saghir and Kabir are the same among them. So this is about the Imam alayhi salam. So also in the history we learn what happened between another incident of munazara and debate that took place between the Imam and Yahya ibn Aktham. So he says that, what do you say about the narration? Yahya ibn Aktham asked the Imam alayhi salam, what do you say about the narration that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said, Inna masala Abi Bakr wa Umar fil ard ka masala Jibreel wa Mikail fil sama'. The example, the parable of Abu Bakr and Umar on earth is similar to Jibreel and Mikail in the heaven. And Imam Jawad alayhi salam replies back, هذا أيضا يجب أن ينظر فيه. That means we need to see and to look into this hadith. You cannot basically rely upon that. You have to look into that. لأن جبرائيل وميكائيل ملكان لله مقربان لم يعصي الله قط. Because Jibreel and Mikail are two angels of Allah. They never did any sin towards Allah. ولم يفارق طاعته لحظة واحدة, and they did not get separated from Allah's obedience for a moment. وهما قد أشرك لله عز وجل وإن أسلم بعد الشرك, whereas those two did the shirk towards Allah, although they became Muslim after the shirk. فكان أكثر أيامهما في الشرك فمحال أن يشبههما بهما. So it is impossible for the Prophet to أن يشبههما بهما. That Prophet gives the tashbih and holds them similar to those two. So we have we have the situations. Another incident, this is a long munazara, but I'm just mentioning a couple of those hadiths for you only, so you find out the situations and the pains that our Imams have been going through. Another question that Yahya ibn Aktham had asked the Imam is that in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi قال لو نزل العذاب ما نجا منه إلا عمر. So he says that Prophet has said, obviously we don't agree with that narration, but this is what Yahya ibn Aktham had said, that Prophet says if azab comes down, no one would be saved except Umar. So Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam replied back to that question that وَهَذَا مُحَالٌ أَيْضًا, that this is also impossible. Because he says in Allah تبارك وتعالى يقول ما كان الله ليعذبهم وأنت فيهم وما كان الله معذبهم وهم يستغفرون. So Allah is not going to punish them as long as you are in them, in other words. And Allah is not going to punish them when they are doing while they are doing the istighfar, in other words. So this is when the Prophet is there. So أخبر سبحانه به أن لا يعذب أحدا ما دام فيهم رسول الله وما داموا يستغفرون الله تعالى. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has informed us that He is not going to punish them as long as Rasulullah is among them and as long as they are doing istighfar towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the munazara have been taking place over and over again with the Imam, and despite of his young age, and these people have been responded positively and given concrete responses. In another incident we find that when Yahya ibn Aktham was doing the tawaf of the Holy Kaaba, because Imam alayhi salam came back, like I mentioned in the beginning, after Mamun Rashid died, Imam alayhi salam, he came for the Hajj, he came to Makkah, and then he did not return back to Baghdad, so then he stayed there. So
So Imam alayhi salam stayed in Hijaz. So we find in one incident, Yahya ibn Aksam, who is the Qadi, he is doing the tawaf, and he saw Imam alayhi salam also there. So he said, I have a question towards you. Before Yahya ibn Aksam could ask the question, Imam alayhi salam said that you want to ask about the Imam. And he said yes. And Imam alayhi salam replied that I am the Imam. So he said, do you have an alamat, any sign? And Imam alayhi salam had an asa, a stick in his hand, and this stick with the mu'jiza and miracle of the Imam, it started to speak very clearly that my Mawla, my master, is the Imam of the time and the Hujjat. Please say salawat. Mu'tasim billah
comes into power after Mamun. So you know the long story of the fight that took place between Amin and Mu'tasim, isn't it right? The big fight taking place for the sake of power. The brothers are fighting with each other to grab the power. Finally, Mu'tasim billah, la'natullah alayhi, he grabs the power, and he was a very cruel person, just like his father. So somebody complained. There are people who rightfully or wrongfully complain towards the Taghuts, right? To make their own perks and benefits or money or their own awards. So this is no different that you find today. People having links with Taghut is no different. It's exactly, history is repeating itself. This is it's a news for those who are ignorant about the Seerat of Ahlul Bayt. For those who know about the Seerat of Ahlul Bayt, this is nothing new, So there have been people who were doing the same behavior over centuries against Ahlul Bayt. I mean, who are we? People have been complaining against Ahlul Bayt. Somebody complained to Mu'tasim billah, la'natullah alayh, against Imamate Taqi al-Jawad alayhi salam, that he is staging a rebellion against you. So Imam alayhi salam, and he brought a written document, something written, and he brought Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, and he showed him. Imam denied. He showed him that this is something, basically it's written here that you are staging a rebellion against my government. So Imam alayhi salam asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, said they are lying and basically slandering upon me, in other words, lying upon me, and take them. So basically this page, this paper, this piece where the document where the complaint was written, it started to fly up, and and all those people who were there who were trying to stand up were falling down, and so basically those people surrounding Mu'tasim, they were all insulted, and finally Mu'tasim requested the Imam to just calm down, stop this thing, and then Imam alayhi salam prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to stop it, and that's where it stopped. So Imam, when he was requesting Allah to stop it, he also said, Imam said to Allah, these are the enemies of yours and enemies of me. So basically this incident not just shows the courage of the Imam, that he's saying the word of haqq and truth on the face of the zalim ruler, and he's the person, Mu'tasim, who is going to provoke his father's provoke his sister. He's going to provoke al-Fadl la'natullah alayha to poison the Imam.
So in another incident we find that Imam alayhi salam was brought in the darbar, forced by the Taghut to come and show up in the darbar, and 1,000 female slaves they were brought, they were placed, they were made available already in that place to deceive the Imam. Look at the kind of plots that these evil people had been playing against the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and they think the Ahlul Bayt are like them, so they can deceive and they can, na'udhu billah, they can cause the wrong for the Imams. Imam doesn't even pay attention to none of them. And also a person who was used to play the haram music was also brought in the darbar, and Imam alayhi salam cautioned him by saying that ittaqillah, that means you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this guy, the musical instrument that he was carrying in his hand, it fell down from his hand. And he could not play the music at all in front of the Imam. So this is how we find in the various incidents where Imam alayhi salam have been subjected to various kinds of situations and and these tests from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we find Ismail ibn Abbas al-Hashimi, he came to the Imam. He's a follower of Ahlul Bayt. He comes to Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, and he requests about his poverty. He was in hard times financially, and he comes to the Imam and complains about his own poverty, and Imam alayhi salam lifts his musalla, his prayer rug, and takes a bunch of soil in his hand, and basically the soil converts into the gold and gives away to Ismail ibn Abbas. So these are just a few examples that we find in the history of the Imam alayhi salam in this short period of time, and how he has been helping his companions and supporting them in various situations. Also in another incident we learn that Khaja Abbas is a very famous companion of Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, and he was imprisoned by the Taghut ruler, and he says that for 1 full year I was in the prison. I was praying and praying and praying, but I was focusing on the ruler to set me free. After 1 year, I started to do tawassul with Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam. So let's first of all remember that Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam is considered to be Babul Hawa'ij. That means he's the door towards acceptance of our hajat. So Abbas says that after 1 year passed by in the jail, then I started to focus on Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, and I did tawassul dua towards Allah through the means of Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam. And I found, after I did the tawassul, I found Imam alayhi salam appearing there inside the prison, and he takes the hand, and as he says, when I look at the face of the Imam, my eyes became full of tears. I started to cry, and I said to Imam, where were you? And Imam alayhi salam replied to me, Abbas, when did you call me that I did not show up? Obviously he says that I have been focusing on the ruler for those people, in other words, to set me free instead of doing tawassul towards the Imam alayhi salam. So Imam grabbed the hand of Abbas and took him out of the prison, and he said to him that these people are never going to find you. So that's exactly what happened, that he was set free for good forever. So before I come to the end of my speech, as usual, I would like to mention at least one hadith from our Imam Al-Jawad alayhi salam. Please say salawat. The first hadith from him, Mujalasatul Ashrar Turisu Su'adhan bil Akhyar. Sadaq al-Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam. And this is extremely important, brothers and sisters, for everyone to keep in mind. We all should keep that in mind. Imam alayhi salam is telling us that hanging around with the bad people, ashrar, it causes su'udhan, that means bad thoughts about the good people. You find there are so many nice people in the society, but they did not remain nice any longer because they had one bad friend. They start to hang around and sit with one bad person for whatever reason, and now they are no longer good. Some people stop praying and fasting. Some people, lose their values, go for various types of wrongs in their life because of bad companionship. In another hadith we find that Imam Al-Jawad alayhi salam, and I will end my speech there, Imam alayhi salam has said, Man hafaza min shi'atina arba'ina hadithan. Whoever remembers from our followers 40 traditions. Please say salawat. Man hafaza min shi'atina arba'ina hadithan. Whoever among our followers memorizes 40 hadiths, بعثه الله عز وجل يوم القيامة عالما فقيها ولم يعذبه. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to resurrect him on the day of judgment as alim, as a scholar, faqihan, as a person who has in-depth knowledge, in-depth understanding of the religion. Faqih in the Lisan al-Ahadith, according to what my teacher Ayatollah Jawadi Amuri Hafidhahullah was saying in the tafsir, that the word faqih in the Lisan al-Hadith is usually used not in the sense of the way we use it. In the way we use it in our istilah of mutaakhirin, we use the word faqih for a mujtahid, a person upon whom taqleed is haram, because he has his own ra'i and fatwa in every mas'ala and chapter of Islamic fiqh. So he is called mujtahid and faqih. Al-mujtahid al-itlaq. Right? We call them mujtahid and faqih. Whereas faqih in the lisan al-hadith, according to my teacher, mostly it means about the person who has tafaqquh fi din, that means in-depth understanding of the religion. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I will translate this word in that same meaning. So Allah, that's the bigger ihtimal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to anyone among the followers of Ahlul Bayt, Shias of Ahlul Bayt, who memorizes 40 hadiths, Allah will resurrect him on the day of judgment as an alim and a person having in-depth understanding of the religion, وَلَمْ يُعَذِّبْهُ, and will not punish him. So this is the status of the person. So obviously we should keep in mind that remembering the 40 hadiths does not mean that we just memorize the hadiths, that's it. Ihtimalan. Because memorizing can be done by a parrot as well. We understand the hadith, when we memorize the hadith, and we practice 40 hadiths in our life. A Shia who practices any of the 40 hadiths of Ahlul Bayt, he is resurrected as an alim, and faqih means having in-depth understanding of Islam. Why? Because he is a faqih here. He is a person who has in-depth understanding of Islam, and he is an alim here. Isn't that right? Because we are resurrected according to what we were in the life of dunya. إن الموت على وزن الحياة. Isn't that right? فكما تعيشون تموتون كما تموتون تبعثون. So we will be resurrected because we were an alim and we were a faqih. So understanding 40 hadiths of Ahlul Bayt, any of the Ahlul Bayt, If you understand and practice any of the 40 hadiths, that's enough for our success. So we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the tawfiq to believe and to follow the Imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to never take us the tawfiq of the ita'at and obedience of the Imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to never take from us the ni'mat of the walayat of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us die on the love of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, on the love of Imam Taqi al-Jawad alayhi salam. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين واخذل الكفار والمنافقين. اللهم انصر من نصر الدين واخذل من خذل المسلمين. اللهم انصر واحفظ وأيد علماءنا الربانيين ومراجعنا الربانيين، لا سيما الولي الفقيه قائد المسلمين. اللهم انصر جيوش المسلمين وعساكر الموحدين. اللهم فك عن الأسراء المسلمين. اللهم وفقنا لما تحب وترضى، وعجل في فرج مولانا صاحب الزمان، واجعلنا من أنصاره وأشياعه وأتباعه وأعوانه بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين. أحسن الله.